The president says his Iran strategy is working. The White House unleashed new sanctions Wednesday related to Iran's oil trade. The move came after imposing new sanctions against Iran's space agency for technology, which the State Department says is identical to that based to test ballistic missiles. However, the president says his goal is not to topple Iran's leaders. He believes change will take place from within.
Iran is a country with tremendous potential. We're not looking for regime change. They have tremendous potential, and I think they're going to want to take advantage of that potential. I really believe that.
This week, Iran threatened to take further steps away from the nuclear pact it signed with Europe and the U.S. President Trump withdrew from the Iranian nuclear deal in 2018. Joining us now is Cliff May, the founder and president of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Cliff, thank you so much for joining us. So first off, the Iranian regime is threatening your group, the FDD, saying that you all are blacklisted in the country. Why are they singling you all out?
They're very well aware of the work we're doing. The work we're doing, we've been advising this administration. We've advised the last two administrations, and we've been in favor of this administration's policy, which is an economic pressure policy. It means sanctions in various ways on this regime in Iran until it meets certain demands that have been made by John Bolton and by Mike Pompeo. And these demands are very basic. Stop supporting terrorism, stop supporting Bashar al-Assad, who has killed probably 500,000 Arabs in Syria, and there are millions more who are homeless right now. Some very basic demands. They know we're doing this, and they know we have very, what I would call, granular research on sanctions. People think, oh, sanctions, you slap sanctions on a country. It's much more complicated than that. Which industries do you want to hit? Which individuals? Why? Is there a reason? What are they doing to support terrorism? What are they doing to support other illicit activities? It's very granular research, which we have been doing for some time. Treasury does it as well. There are people in the State Department. But we're helpful on this. They know that all this, and they don't like it. They're calling sanctions economic terrorism, and they're saying they're going to sanction us, and that would be fine. Sanction me. I'm not going to take my vacation in Iran this summer anyhow. That's not my plans. But what they also said is they have security apparatuses that may, and they use this word, punish us. Well, that's a threat to our physical security, and this is a regime that over the years has assassinated people, blown up people, been behind terrorist plots here in the U.S., one here in Washington, the guy was foiled. They were going to blow up the Saudi ambassador in a restaurant in Georgetown. They've killed people in Europe. They've killed people in the Middle East. They are, according to the U.S. government, not just this administration, the leading sponsor of terrorism in the world, supplying $1 billion a year to terrorists, to unlawful combatants. So with all that, we got under their skin at some point. I'm not sure what it is exactly. They're frustrated right now. The sanctions are causing them economic pain, no question about it. And so they struck out, and they've threatened us, and they want to intimidate us and intimidate American researchers, American journalists. I think have done a good job of that anyhow, in many ways, and other independent thinkers in this country and other countries by saying, you will submit to us.
Cliff, you have an article or an op-ed out in the Washington Times this week. Yeah. Column on the Islamic Republic lashes out, Iran's rulers threaten an American think tank, mine. You say that Iran has grown accustomed to America and the international community's complacency.
Yes.
And you had just mentioned that you're in favor of the administration's policy, but is that strategy working?
Well, the strategy is imposing serious economic pain, which is why they've lashed out, not least at us, and also at others in government. Ted Cruz, senator, also they lashed out recently. They've lashed out. So they are feeling the pain.
But isn't that supposed to bring them back to the negotiating table?
It's supposed to do what they would really like is for them to act like a normal nation, not be a supporter of terrorism, not pursue imperialism in the Middle East, which they are. They control Lebanon for all intents and purposes through Hezbollah right now. They have Shia militias all over Syria, in Iraq. They support the Houthi rebels in Yemen. Hezbollah, which is really their foreign legion, works hand in glove with drug cartels in Latin America. And there was, of course, terrorism in Latin America. In 1994, they blew up the Jewish center in Buenos Aires. We'd like them to act as a normal nation. That's what this government would really like. But failing that, what would be, I think what this government, President Trump's administration is open to, come back to the negotiating table and let's see if we can work something out. I think it has to be more than what the Obama's Iran deal, the JCPOA, did. What did that do? It gave them billions of dollars to spend in any way they want, on anything they want, in exchange for a promise not to stop developing nuclear weapons, but to slow or delay their program for a few years. It was a great deal for the regime. It asked nothing of them in regard to terrorism, for example. Of course they took it, and they would like to get back to it. President Trump, I think, is saying, we can negotiate, but it's got to be something where you actually compromise and give up something to get something.
Now we have about 30 seconds left, but I want to ask you about regime change. President Trump says he doesn't want regime change, but where does FDD stand on that?
Well, it's not that he doesn't want regime change. It's not the policy of the U.S. government to pursue regime change right now. Would I like to see regime change? Look, I know a lot of Iranians in this country and elsewhere, and I think they would like a government they vote for. I think they would like a government that gives them freedom. When I was in Iran 40 years ago, people hoped that this revolution would bring them greater freedom and greater prosperity. It has done neither of those things. If this regime can change its behavior, great. But if it can't, can this regime be changed? I think most Iranians would like to see that very much. And I would cheer them, and I would love to go back and celebrate with them in Iran someday.
All right, Cliff May, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.